Well, welcome to Thought for the Day on this lovely Tuesday morning. I recorded my previous Thought for the Day a day early on Thursday because at the time when it went out on Friday morning, I was actually lying in hospital with tubes on my inside and a consultant and a trainee looking at pictures of what was going on inside me as they steered a camera uh, through part of my body. Looking back on it was a rather surreal experience. It felt a bit like two guys teaching each other a computer game. So looking at the screen, looking at the controls with the joystick, looking at the path that the camera was taking. The trainee was mainly doing it, but the consultant would say, "Well, this is a slightly tricky corner to get around here. You'll need to press that button and make it do this." And it didn't work. Oh, never mind. Try again. Um, Maybe you can reduce the discomfort for the patient a little bit. Well, I'll hold him. You have another shot. Oh no, couldn't get around again. No, well, let me take over the controls and you hold him and it'll all be okay. We'll get through this. Um, yeah, very strange experience. Slightly comical in retrospect, although it was quite serious at the time. Now, the good news is that by the end of the inspection, they were able to tell me that there was nothing serious. That the symptoms I'd seen had a very simple explanation, and I was able to walk out of the hospital with no worries. And I'm very grateful to God for that. I'm also grateful that the experience wasn't as unpleasant as I'd been led to think it would be. I didn't have to take any painkillers or sedatives, and it was remarkably peaceful. There was a blood pressure meter that I could no, pulse rate meter that I could see, and I was quite relaxed. My pulse rate was down in the 50s, even the high 40s at times, as I just let them do what they had to do. Quite peaceful as to what the outcome would be, because although I am very grateful to God that they didn't find anything serious, I am grateful to God for the procedure wasn't too unpleasant. I'm actually more grateful to God for what I experienced before they did the inspection. In those 10 days in which I didn't know what they were going to find. Had some symptoms which the doctor said I needed an urgent examination to see if there was anything serious there. Possibility of a cancer that might have been quite tricky to deal with. I didn't know what was going to happen, and that uncertainty was a strange experience. Might have been very worried, but actually, in that time when there was maybe not a particularly high chance, but a possibility that death might not be as far away as I thought, that the very healthy life I'd experienced to date might be now in a different place. In that time when of the possibility of life going in a different direction, I actually felt more alive than I've maybe more alive than I've ever felt before. Helen and I talked at a different level in that time. We talked about more serious things, but we talked about them openly. We talked about, well, what would you want at your funeral if that came? How would you want to be remembered? And in my own thought life, I was starting to think, how would I want to spend the rest of my life if it wasn't if the time was a bit shorter? Um, and as I said, I experienced an extraordinary peace. I can talk easily about how God holds our future in His hands. How with Him, even as St. Paul says, to live is Christ, to die is gain. it really doesn't matter because everything, even beyond death, is in God's hands. But in those few days when actually there was more uncertainty than I'd ever had before, I experienced that truth, that certainty of God holding my future in His hands in a way I hadn't had it before. My mind is, as I think I may have mentioned, quite easily somewhat frozen when I start to worry, and I find it very hard to think creatively, to think clearly. But over that period, over that week or so, I was set free to think much more clearly. I could prepare things for church quite easily without getting frozen in worry, frozen in oh, what's going to happen, what's going to happen. And it was a very special time, a time that I want to thank God for, a time that I want to hold on to. And so now, as that time is past, I rejoice in the good news that I'm healthy. I also want to hold on to the deeper blessing that I received over those few days. The blessing I received when I didn't know the future, but I did know it in a deeper way, the one who holds the future. May He hold you today. So may God bless you. I'll talk to you again in Thought for the Day on Friday, and may God give you a great day today.